Hello, my favorite listener. This is episode 5 of Mikey and the Garden Arch. Thanks for coming back. This is a Rust Belt Studio production. We have 2 other shows. Engine of War is the spiritual cousin of this show and runs on the opposite Tuesday. Into the Dark of the Woods is a folklore-heavy, northern Michigan-based story run in 5 beats. That runs every Friday. You can catch that show wherever you got this podcast. In the meantime, settle in. The show is about to start. Johnson had told me that to get home, I had to walk a loop, so we've been doing that even though it felt like the forest stretched miles in every direction. I lost my Cecil Fielder card to the troll. Could have lost more when Hitch and Hike tried to gamble with us. And then the crows, those things took a memory right out of my head. They took her name, the girl in my group who held us all together. I could see her face, but the name just wasn't there. So yeah, I've been walking scared and empty for a while now. The forest changed before I realized it was changing. We'd been walking so long that the trees had all started to look the same, but then something in the air shifted. The smell hit first. Damp earth giving way to river scent like the maw me on a humid morning. Then the light changed, thinning out and brightening just a little. And then the whispers in the branches stopped sounding sad and started sounding, expectant? Like they knew something I didn't. Johnson noticed it too. His ears went all up and his tail stiffened, not bristled like before, just alert. We're close. I didn't answer because my throat was tight again. Close meant the loop was ending. Close meant home. Close meant I wasn't going to lose anything else. No more cards, no more memories. If I could just get through whatever final weirdness this arch had waiting for me, I'd be home. The path opened a little. The trees pulled back like curtains, letting a stripe of fading light in that cut across the ground, and then I saw it. The arch. Just sitting there in a patch of tall grass like it had been waiting patiently for me to return. The same rounded stone shape, the same faint shimmer woven through it like heat coming off of pavement. My chest clenched. It was real. I made it back. My steps got faster without me telling them to. My heartbeat kicked up, loud in my ears, and every second in the forest had felt like a year. Like the world stretching me thin. But this was almost over. I was going home. And then something moved to the left of the arch. I froze so fast Johnson ran into the back of my legs. He followed my stare and the fur along his spine rose instantly. Guy stepped out from behind a tree. He looked worse than the last time I had seen him. His gray hide wasn't smooth anymore. It was dirty, streaked with mud and leaves stuck in places. His mane was tangled like he hadn't slept, but his eyes were the same, bright and cold and hungry and staring at me. He wasn't leaning forward this time. He wasn't stalking. He was just standing there, blocking the arch completely like some goalie clocking in for their shift. Mikey, 3 names. The forest said you were coming. I couldn't breathe. My hands went numb. Everything in me screamed, run, but there was nowhere to run to. I wasn't walking another loop. The forest behind us was endless. The arch in front of us only worked if you went through it. Guy was standing perfectly centered like a plug in a drain. Johnson stepped in front of me, not far, just enough that his shoulder brushed my leg, but it meant everything. He lowered his head and growled, a sound I had never heard from him before. It wasn't like when he'd warned the crows or when he'd tensed around Hitch and Hike. This was deeper, final, like he knew what this was and what it was going to cost. Guy tilted his horse's head. You shouldn't have come this way. The court wanted you routed underground, but maybe they aren't the only ones. Johnson's growl sharpened. I didn't understand most of what Guy meant, but I understood enough. He wasn't going to move. Not for me, not for Johnson, not for anything. And then the fear hit harder, not just of Guy, but of losing more. Losing another memory, losing another piece of myself, losing whatever part of me this crazy world hadn't stolen yet. I swallowed hard, and my voice cracked when I tried to speak. I just want to go home. Guy stepped closer, and the ground shook with each of his hoof steps. Why would we ever let wonder like you back? We don't send wonder through the arch. Wonder comes through to us. No, I paid. I paid the troll. I paid. You can pay whomever you want with whatever you want. It's you, Mikey Three Names, that I want. Johnson's stance changed. He didn't look at me, but I knew what he was thinking. I felt it like a pressure in the air. The moment someone makes up their mind before you can talk them out of it, Danny would do it all the time. He spoke softly without turning. When I move, you run. Johnson, do not argue. Do not look back. I told you I'd get you home, and that's what I aim to do. This is where your loop ends. Guy stomped forward once, cracking a stick under hoof. Come along, both of you. One dead at a time. Johnson didn't answer, but in a second he launched himself at Guy faster than I'd seen him move, and slammed into the horse-headed monster with everything he had. Johnson was like 4'5", like he was like my height at 12 years old. Guy was like 6 foot tall. He hadn't expected that. He stumbled back, snarling, and that was the only opening I had. The path behind Guy was clear. The arc shimmered, and the world told me exactly what to do. I ran. So here's another one of those moments when your brain moves in ways you don't think. I was running toward the arch. I was running toward home, and the thing that I had wanted since I got here. But I had to look back. Johnson had charged Guy a second time, but this time the horse head was ready. When Johnson leapt, Guy caught him and tossed him aside. I saw Johnson hit the ground and roll once, twice, then pop back up to all fours. He stood up, small cuts forming already from bouncing on the ground. The jacket probably protected most of it, go Bucks. He spared a glance over Guy's shoulder to me. I said run. Run! Every time I or any of us left a room, left the group, or did something, even if it was run to the bathroom, we did the line. In our terrible Arnold impersonations, we'd say, I'll be back. You'd catch yourself starting to say it normal, stop, and go back and start over just to do the line. I turned. I ran for home, but I called out in my own voice and with no irony at all, I'll be back! I dove through like a person leaping off a diving board, and then the world snapped sideways. 1 second, I was sprinting toward the arch, feeling the whole forest closing in behind me. The next, the ground wasn't moss or roots anymore. It was cracked pavement. My knees slammed on it so hard I gasped, catching myself in my hands. Warm air hit me. Not forest warm, Ohio warm. Thick and heavy like the heat that hangs after a long July day. I sucked in a breath and then coughed at the sudden change. My ears were ringing, my whole body felt like it was still in motion, like the world had stopped too fast around me. My palms were cut up, my legs trembled, and then I heard it. That zzz sound. The streetlights on our block were warming up. The weird half glow they get right before they flicker to life. The sky was still a late evening blue, not fully dark. It looked like home. It smelled like home. But I didn't trust it. Not yet. Pushed myself forward on shaky legs. The arch behind me now was just an arch again. An old paint-peeling wooden arbor. Nothing special about it at all. My throat tightened and I forced myself to look around. This was my street. This was the lot with the concrete slab memory of a house. These were the cracks we'd skip over, dividing the slab into different zones of safe or not. And leaning against the chain link fence around the lot, my bike. Exactly where I left it. Same angle, same kickstand, same chipped red paint on the handlebars. Nothing had changed. A sound tore out of my throat. Not a sob, not a laugh, just some kind of broken mix between the two. I ducked under the fence. I grabbed the handlebars without even thinking. I didn't even hop on. I didn't pedal. I just ran, dragging my bike beside me, shoes slapping against the pavement. My breath came out fast and shaky. I was home. I was definitely, I was home. I hit the back steps too hard and almost tripped, then yanked the door open so fast it banged against the wall. Mom was standing at the stove, stirring something in a pot. The kitchen smelled like tomato sauce, and the yellow overhead light buzzed faintly, that same annoying buzz it always did. She looked back over her shoulder when the door burst open. "Oh, hey, honey. Perfect timing. Dinner's almost done." I stood there in the doorway, breathing like I'd sprinted a marathon. Dirt on my arms, scratches on my elbows, Forrest still clinging to me like smoke. Her smile didn't falter once. Dad's voice drifted from the living room, Tigers game on, announcer calling a double down the left field line, beer bottle clinking as he set it on the side table next to his chair. "Was just about to head out and call for you. You didn't see those streetlights come on?" My heart lurched so hard it almost hurt. Streetlights? Like that was the biggest danger I'd been in? Mom turned back to the stove, humming softly like nothing was wrong, like nothing had changed, like I hadn't been gone. I don't even know how long I had been gone. Hours here? It was almost 2 days there. Time didn't match. It didn't line up. It didn't make sense. The world barely moved without me. I stepped further inside, just enough to close the door, and then I shut my eyes for a second and tried to breathe like a normal person. Tried to make my chest stop shaking. It didn't work. I slipped into the hallway so my parents wouldn't see my face, leaned my shoulder against the wall. The paint felt cool under my fingertips, real, solid, not like the forest, not like the arch. I needed proof, something to ground me, so I reached into my pocket. I pulled out 3 baseball cards of players I couldn't give 2 craps about. No Cecil Fielder, no number 45, no favorite card I'd carried everywhere since 4th grade. It was gone. My breath hitched again, and I pressed the back of my head against the wall and slid down until I was sitting on the floor, knees bent, arms wrapped around them. I felt way younger than 12, and small and stupid and so tired. Home was supposed to fix me. But instead it just made everything sharper. The crows, hitch and hike, Guy's voice, Johnson rolling across the ground as he got flung away like some rag doll you outgrew and tossed aside. I squeezed my eyes shut and tried to pull myself together. That had been real. All of it. Even if the world looked normal again. Even if my parents didn't notice anything. I pressed my palms over my eyes. I was home, but I wasn't okay. Not yet, not even close. I called out to my dad, "Can I go check and see if any of my friends are back?" My dad got to his feet, not thunder, but not taking no deals. "Did you not hear your mother? Dinner is almost ready. Go clean up and bring yourself back down here to eat." "Dad!" Michael, my mom's voice was a warning that I probably didn't want to start a fight. I did the dramatic 12-year-old sigh, but I went up to the bathroom and I got cleaned up. Sitting at the table eating, I realized I was starving. Having agreed to my father, his humor was restored, and comments of hollow legs and maybe getting a job myself if I was going to eat like this filled the table. I just couldn't believe it, sitting there, filling my face with spaghetti and sandwich bread slathered in butter because garlic toast was $1 that we didn't need spent. And what were we going to do with this bread anyway? I had left the world. And the world didn't even seem to notice? How could that possibly be? I scarfed down the last of my plate, asked to be excused, set my dishes in the sink, and asked if I could use the phone. My mom said sure, and I grabbed the cordless out of the living room and bolted upstairs. I flopped down on my bed and thought about who to dial. Tyler was a no-go. He still wasn't back from camp yet, not for a couple more days. I tried Danny. His machine picked up in 4. Then I tried that girl and hung up because if she didn't answer, I wasn't going to be able to ask for her. If her mom answered, what was I going to say? Hi, it's Mikey. Can your daughter come to the phone? It sounded creepy in my head, so out loud would have made it worse. I know. I spent the better part of 2 days crying, begging to come home. When I got older, the thing that I can liken it to at that moment was when your car is in the shop. You don't have any place to be, but because the car isn't available, you think of a million places you need to go. It was in that moment that that's how I felt. Now that I had come back, now that I knew it was possible to go and get home, all I wanted to do was go back. Crazy, right? Tears. So many tears. But I just left him there and he was my friend. At least I think he was my friend. Johnson. A fox in an OSU varsity jacket, the only reason I was here in my safe, warm bed while he was out there getting beaten into what? I squeezed my eyes shut and pushed the thought out. In the morning, I'd rally Danny and the girl. I'd tell them everything that happened to me, and then we'd find a way to make the arch open so that we could go back. I'd said it after all, hadn't I? I'll be back. Promise is a promise. Hello again. This concludes episode 5 of Mikey and the Garden Arch. Home again. What does that mean for Mikey, and more importantly, what does that mean for Johnson? I'm just going to have to come back in 2 weeks and find out. This is a Rust Belt Studio production and was written and narrated by Brian Foster. You can find it, as well as our 2 other shows, anywhere you listen to your favorite podcast, and you can support those shows either by listening, liking, subscribing, leaving comments, sharing it with someone who might like a good story. We always appreciate that. You can also support us monetarily if you'd like. You can swing over to Patreon, and the link is in the show notes below. At the $2 grip tier, you'll get early and ad-free access to this show as well as our 2 other main shows. For $5, you add on access to the production booth where you can get exclusive content. For $9, you become a studio executive where you can help shape the future of what we do here. As always, thank you for being here, and until next time, my favorite listener.